Attention entrepreneurs and business owners, it's time to pay attention today. Today we want to talk about SEO, websites, funnels, whatever. They're all another language to many of us. But to some, there's some experts out there that know exactly what to do. And that's what we need to talk about. I'm Glenda Kroll. I am one of your co-hosts here on Let's Get Real, and we're going to get real down today and find out where things are going on our world of, of internet, the world of business, and how we become more prevalent in our society out there. Nicole, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad this gentleman is joining us today because I just started some digital marketing and need some SEO. So I got to tell you, this is going to be an exciting conversation because this is not up my alley at all. I am not a techie. I had to have help putting both my websites together, so this will be very interesting for me.
And you know what? That's what we come here to do. So at Let's Get Real, we want to get real and down and teach you some things. Life is about constantly learning. And through my journey, it's always been the learning stage. And today, to me, it is one of the most important things, especially if you want to be seen online. So Nicole, could you please introduce our next guest?
I sure will. This gentleman is a digital marketing expert. And he has not one, but 2 decades of experience in SEO. I didn't even know about SEO until about 5 years ago. So he's got like 15 years on me. He is the driving force behind More Marketing Ideas, which is based in Melbourne, Australia. He's joining us today, and it's 5 a.m. in Australia. So I am just so happy to have Fred Gillen here. So Fred, come on down.
Good morning,
Fred.
Thank you for joining us today.
No, well, I welcome the opportunity. Thanks for the invite. So I look forward to having the conversation.
Thank you. And we're thrilled to have you here. And I know it's, you had to get up kind of in the very early morning. I guess the roosters must have been screaming cock-a-doodle-doo out there because it's now 4 o'clock in the morning for you, or 5. And so thank you for joining us and for, most importantly, coming to educate us, because I know there's something that you've got some real great secrets out there to share with us. So first of all, tell us what you do.
Yeah, sure. As I was introduced, my name is Fred Gillen. I run a digital agency called More Marketing Ideas. And I penned that name because that's what I've always been doing. I've been giving business owners more marketing ideas most of my life, whether it's been paid or just in general conversation. And everybody needs more marketing ideas. Like if you're a business coach, you need more marketing ideas. If you're a electrician or a plumber, you need more marketing ideas, because today is the day of more marketing ideas. It's all about internet and more marketing ideas. And if you don't know the name of my business by now, well, all you need to do is Google more marketing ideas, and you'll find more marketing ideas, because that's what I do. I get people seen on Google with more marketing ideas and YouTube. And that's my intro. So hopefully you'll remember my name when you remember my business, and you'll just get more marketing ideas.
I love it.
That's cute. Yeah, that's a I'm going to remember that one too. Just keep saying it over and over and over and let that sink into the subconscious there.
Yeah, it was a gimmick I did probably close to 12 months ago in another networking group I was in, and I got lots of laughs and reaction to it. So now when I go on a networking group, that's how I introduce myself, and it seems to get good reaction, which is, and not just another more marketing idea.
I should have kept count. If I knew you were going to do that, I would have kept count to see how many we could get to.
Well, I'm sure we'll have you'll have a full handful by the time we finish here. So Fred, so tell us, where did you begin in all of this marketing? Like you weren't born into it. So how did you get started? Because, internet is only so many years old, and no offense, I know you're a little bit beyond that. So where did it all come from?
I was actually checking it out yesterday and trying to, like, I've always been involved in some kind of marketing, no matter what it was. And I'll give you a quick introduction about me, just personally.
Please.
I started, I suppose, working life as an electrician in the early 70s. So that'll date me. And I finished my apprenticeship in 73 and I came out to Australia. Um, the government at the time and the Australian government at the time were looking for tradespeople. So they were paying tradespeople to come out. And what they did was they paid their airfare out, and you had to give them a gratuitous amount of £10 at the time. So I had a choice of paying £10 to fly to Melbourne or £27 to fly to London because it was time to leave the nest. And so I paid the £10 and I landed in Melbourne, planning to stay here for 2 years because that was the condition. I think last year I did my 50 years in Melbourne. So I've been here a while. But moving on from that, I came out here as an electrician, worked for a number of companies, then started my own electrical contracting business in the 70s. I ran that for a number of years. And part of that training, I did electronic training. And then the computers came in the early 80s. And I was very heavily involved in learning about that with the IBM PCs and the floppy disks. And that's, again, that dates me, but, we were all there. So we started to import bits and pieces for me and my friends and family to build our own computers. From that, I opened a retail store, started to sell computers to the general public. And we were making a lot of money at the time because, and I'll give you an example, at the time we were selling just a floppy disk PC, IBM PC with one floppy disk, 4 megabytes of memory.
Wow, 4 megabytes.
4 megabytes of memory and a green screen. And we were selling that in the mid to late 80s for 3,500 Australian dollars. And we were making probably 300% margin on that. Wow. Today, you're lucky to make 10% margin on computers. Yeah. So there was a fair amount of money in that. So anyway, then what happened, the Taiwanese came in here, the price dropped, the margins dropped. And I started to then take my electrical skills and my computer knowledge and worked for corporates rolling out computer systems. So the cabling, the systems, connecting them all, helping people network computers together. That got me into the corporate sphere, and I became a project manager rolling out systems for a lot of the majors. I worked with a lot of the major banks here, worked for the government departments and everything else. And that stopped about 7 years ago because ageism came in and I couldn't get a gig, to be honest. But wow. I just couldn't get past the recruiters. Resumes hadn't changed, nothing had changed, but I couldn't get past the recruiters. So that was okay. So I figured, well, what do I do? So I took my knowledge and we started a digital agency. And then I started helping small business owners, both on the practical side of building websites, but then also on the marketing side with the school of hard knocks. So we could take people along the journey based on the skill set I've learned over the years. And that got me into the digital agency. COVID hit, and I made a silly mistake with the digital agency that I got into the hospitality arena. So supporting everybody, all restaurants and everything else, and my business tanked, right?
Yeah.
And I figured, well, what do we do now? So did what everybody else did. We jumped on Zoom. Right?
Everyone did.
Yeah. And I mean, it's probably 3 years ago now or close to it. But at that time, if somebody had to say to me, I'd be doing Zoom calls and most of my business I'd be doing on Zoom in 3 years' time, I was in not a chance. I'm not a visual person. I'm practical. I go out, I meet people, I shake hands, I do all that kind of stuff. Not, great head for radio was the comment I would make, right? So I wouldn't go on camera. Now I live on Zoom. It's what I do, and we do all of our conversations on Zoom. So lifestyle changed in 3 years, and I'm loving it. And now that's what really what I do now. I help people get seen online by taking my skills that I've learned over the decades. And you were polite when you said over 2 decades of knowledge, but it's a lot more than that. So that's a brief introduction to me, my life, and how I got to where I am today.
So, Fred, what do you think is the biggest change that you've seen in the industry, and how have these changes influenced the strategies that you use today?
I think it's what I said before. It's the introduction of digital communication, like the visual digital communication. Before, most of the selling was done through text, websites, sending somebody a brochure, texting people to a minor degree. Most of it was done by email. Now, emails very few get opened. Like we all get bombarded with emails daily. I even miss some valid emails because it's all mixed up with all this junk I'm getting.
Exactly. Yeah, I know that one.
So for me, Zoom has opened up the door for a lot of people. Even you've got a lot of, and I won't class myself as an introvert, but I certainly wasn't somebody that would go out and do this kind of stuff 3 years ago, right?
But
And I think that's what it's doing for a lot of people. It's turning people that thought they were introverts into actually getting out and talking to people in life.
and if it wasn't for Zoom, you and I wouldn't be talking on this now. So, being able to touch anybody in the world, it's an amazing thing. So in industry now, you're talking about, you said website, you've said it a few times, and yet I hear all the time funnel. So let's talk about funnels, websites, differences, which you suggest in going.
Yeah, it's for people that don't know the difference. A website and a funnel are pretty much the same thing. The standard website is just a page with information on it, and it's usually got a header on the top with links to various things. My contact page, my sales page, my shop, whatever it might be. So it's got a menu, so to speak, at the top or down the side, wherever the layout is. So that's a normal website. Yeah, and they're still relevant. The websites are still relevant today, but funnels are more practical because if you're promoting something and you're talking about one thing, the issue with a website, if you send somebody to a website and say, for example, you're talking about a webinar you've got coming up and you want people to attend, and you say, go to my website and the link to the webinar is on the website. That's great, but it gets confusing because they've got all these other choices on the website. So they can go and connect, what have they got in the shop? Or what have they got, what's their contact details? Or what's their blog all about? And then they start reading your blogs and they go, oh shit, what did I come here for? Oh yeah, it's the webinar. How do I find it? So they can't find it, right? And they get lost and they go out and they'll come back later or not. Whereas a landing page, it's got a dedicated aspect to it so that it's one thing and one thing only. So when you go to a landing page, it talks about whatever you want to promote, whether it's a free ebook, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a conference you're coming to, whatever it might be. It talks about that and that alone, and people have got one choice. Click the continue button or the buy button or the learn more button, whatever it might be, or leave. They're the two choices. Show an interest or leave. That's the landing page. So that's the difference. And that's why they're so valuable today. And even if somebody has an existing website, they can always build a landing page as an additional page, but just remove the menus. Right? So that's the easiest way to build a landing page. There are dedicated software applications and CRMs and stuff out there that do that a lot better. But the basic way of building a landing page is just to remove the menus. Right? Talk about whatever you want to talk about, send somebody to that page and remove the menus.
Interesting.
So I know one of your key things with what you do is helping people become more visible. So that's what the draw is on having a website, having a funnel, whatever you want to do videos and all so forth. How do you suggest that people become more visible? What are some of the ways that you can suggest to us that we can put ourselves out there more?
There's lots of options available today. We're all aware of all the different platforms, whether it's LinkedIn or YouTube or Google itself or, TikTok and Pinterest, and there's a ton of platforms out there. So the first thing you probably need to do is, validate where your audience are hanging out, right? Where your ideal clients or your avatar or whatever words you want to use, whatever they're hanging out. So if it's, professional people you're looking for, you're probably better off looking at LinkedIn. If it's a general, I use Facebook a lot. So if it's, the general populace, that, the homeowner, the single entrepreneur or something like that, then I'd probably suggest, YouTube, Facebook, to a degree. When people are starting out with anything, one of the first things I suggest you do, and we had a chat about this, Glenda, yesterday, one of the things I suggest people do is to set up their Google My Business page. Now, a lot of people go, what's a Google My Business page? If you ask that question and you're promoting yourself online, you're not doing it right. And the reason I say that is that Google loves Google. So the more you interact with Google, the more they're going to help you on the SEO stream. So whether that's, posting stuff up on a website or blogs or whatever else, Google sees that action, and then it will give you an extra bit of what I call Google juice. It'll give you an extra tick and move you up the ladder. In order to get the best benefit out of that, the first thing, I'd recommend everybody on the call today goes to business.google.com if you currently don't have a Google web business page, and register. It's free, doesn't cost a cent, and then you treat that like any other social media platform. You post to it, you do regular posts to it, and that's the crux of any platform. If you just go into a platform and you're posting once a month, you're not going to get any action, right? So you need to be doing daily, every twice a week, once a week, whatever it is, as a minimum on any platform, irrespective of what it is. So you need to be posting on that to get seen online, because it's all about the algorithms on the various platforms. And Google is one of the biggest. YouTube is the second biggest platform. So it's the same thing. If you're posting, one video a month on YouTube, you're not going to get a lot of action, because, Google doesn't see anybody interacting with your video, so they're not going to promote it well. But if you see people coming onto your videos every day and interacting and making comments, then they're going to promote you. And the same on Facebook, LinkedIn. The more action you produce, the more results you're going to get. So Google My Business, first tip of the day.
Okay. And then I've been hearing about these shorts they want you to make, how popular these shorts are, even on the YouTube.
Yeah, it's true.
What do you
It's
talk about in 8 seconds?
The platforms are changing, and it's it's a task to stay on top of it all, of what's working, and it's all anecdotal anyway. So there's no real. People are saying yes to getting this. Like TikTok gets a lot of action for the same reason, because it's short, it's quick, it's snippet, like they're catchy, and YouTube is the same. The shorts are getting a lot of action. Facebook Reels and are the same. Stories on Facebook, the same. And there's two different things. Like stories last for one day.
Yeah.
Right. So they're designed for your existing audience, because your existing audience will see those and get to visualize those. Reels are designed for targeting.
Okay.
So if you create a reel and you put it up, it's there, and people may find it, and you may get an interaction with it. So there's different ways of using the different tools. But shorts, certainly on all the platforms. I was on a call yesterday with a LinkedIn guru, and they were talking about LinkedIn the same. Videos is now on LinkedIn are starting to get a lot of views, and LinkedIn is starting to promote that. And there's some stuff happening in the background on LinkedIn with some of the beta testers that they're heavily looking at using videos, because they can see they're getting left behind, right? Because it's like what we're doing here. Like, it's visual now. It's not, it's no longer texting and just putting up a blog and people reading it. Blogs are good for SEO purposes, but who reads a blog anymore? I can't remember the last time I read a blog post from anyone. Right?
Well, I still do keep an eye on some blogs because you can learn a lot by when you read something, and it's about going. But the problem is now in our world that people's their attention span is about 2 seconds. Like, what is it? It's 5 seconds or something now. If you don't hit something in the first couple of seconds, you're gone. So the whole idea, just like Nicole just said a few minutes ago, what do you say in 5 seconds? How do you put yourself out there in that?
I've actually been playing with something, and it seems to be working really well. Probably 2 months ago, and I put an image created with AI of a koala. I'm based in Australia. Even though I'm Irish, I'm based in Australia. Right? I put up a picture of a koala, and that got a good reaction. So now what I'm doing is I'm going faceless on a lot of the posts, so I don't put myself up. I'm using the koala avatar. So if I've got something come up, it's a koala. I put a bit of a lead magnet test up yesterday for a $1 funnel, right? And it's a picture of a koala and a book and saying, learn about $1 funnels. And like, I'll be quite open here. It's a little bit of a test and a gimmick and whatever it is, but I'm selling a $1 ebook to start the $1 funnel. And then I'm encouraging everybody else to do the same. So
I love it. I actually I saw it yesterday, and it was
so it's a test, it's a test to see what kind of reaction I get, and it's not the $1 I'm chasing, but it's a lead magnet. So
yeah,
and
exactly.
that's really, you've got to break the cycle of somebody watching something today. Like whether it's on Facebook or whatever it is, we get bombarded with so much stuff. There's got to be something that, and it's visual again, that stops your eyes, and you look at something and you go, oh, what's this about? And then you decide, yeah, I'll have a look at this, or no, it's not for me.
So you used a term, and just to make sure that people that are watching us understand it, you said lead magnet. So explain to people what a lead magnet is.
Okay, a lead magnet is something that encourages people to connect with you, right? Whatever it might be. Normal lead magnets are, the ebooks are probably the easiest one. So somebody writes something, and an ebook doesn't have to be a book, right? It can be a checklist.
Right.
It can be a cheat sheet. It can be one page. It can be anything. So a lead magnet is something, in most cases, that you will give away for free. But in some cases, you'll charge for it, a minor amount, like a lead magnet might be a little course you've got put together, and you charge $10 or $20 or $40, whatever it might be for it, right? And it's a lead magnet, and it gets somebody into your ecosystem. So when they want to acquire the lead, the magnet, whatever it might be, they have to give you something. And usually that's their name, email. And today I always ask for a phone number, right?
And do you get phone numbers?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of places that you can't go any further if you don't put it in. So it's not an option anymore.
Yep. And the reason for that is, again, technology is taking over, right? Because what happens when you put your phone number in?
Well, you're getting text messages now.
Straight away. Straight away. So, and the trick with that is they're taking people off the platform, whatever it was,
right,
and putting people into their ecosystem so they can make contact directly with the person. And like, my preferred method of communication is text messaging. And I even tell my clients, if you want to connect with me, send me the email. Okay, but send me a text telling me you sent me an email. Right? Because the chances of me reading that email through the day, I might get to it 10 hours later, but you really wanted to talk to me now, right? So there's no point.
It's also happening there, the emails are getting lost, right? In emails and everything else.
Because it doesn't matter how many times you unsubscribe from people, and you're getting a lot of junk out there from people that they're not living by the letter of the law. They don't even have an unsubscribe button down the bottom.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep. And you search everywhere, and it's like, I'm telling you, I do not see an unsubscribe.
Yep.
Well, you hit spam and it's gone. But here's a pointer for anybody who does want to get information. And I have a separate email address that when I subscribe to things that I just want to see. So instead, it doesn't fog up all my other stuff. just to sort of get rid of all the garbage that comes in. It's important. Great.
And you can set that up like Gmail. You can set up multiple free email accounts, and for exactly that reason. The issue with like I don't have a spam folder because what are you going to do? You're going to go and check your spam folder for emails every day. It's the same thing, and with spam, valid emails are getting flagged as spam. And that's usually the sender's problem because they haven't set up their email port correctly. And Google, Yahoo have got, and they're the biggest, right, that are transferring emails between different services. They've got filters in place that see certain words and then just put you into spam or into promotional box or whatever it might be. And then you don't get it. And it's a valid email. You should have got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So you also use words of SEO. Is SEO important to learn? And first of all, let's start off by what is SEO?
Okay, SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And again, it used to just, in people's terms, it used to just apply to Google. When people thought it was on your Google thing, it's not. SEO applies to any search engine, right? So if you're posting anything, you've got to optimize it for that platform, whatever it might be, right? If we go back to Google and you look at web page SEO, SEO is very important for a web page, but today it's very hard if you have a new website to use SEO to get seen. 10 years ago, we had tricks to the trade that I could get somebody up within 4 hours on the first page of Google. Right?
Wow.
Today, it would take me 12 months of hard work.
Wow.
Right? So that's the difference. And the reason for that is that I don't know what it is, but there are thousands of web pages being created daily. Right? New web pages, right? New websites, new domains, whatever else. I registered 4 domains yesterday for a client, right? So, that's another 4, and we'll be working on those web pages. But you've got to do the work now to get seen. But SEO is definitely important. You need to follow the basics of putting in the right keywords, setting up your page correctly, doing all that stuff. With Google, there's lots of YouTube videos about optimizing your description YouTube, I meant. But in YouTube, there's lots of videos out there that talk about optimizing your descriptions and tags and everything else. And people don't do it, so the videos don't get seen. So there's work involved in whatever you're doing, whether it's on Facebook. You can't just put a post up. You've got to, do work on and put keywords into your description, write some stuff, and just, if you're talking about an audience of affiliate marketers for something, then you sprinkle little bits about affiliate marketing into your comments, and the algorithms will pick that up. With YouTube, on the first line, have a direct link to your website, because the first 3 lines get seen, right? When somebody looks at the thumbnail and the description, the first 3 lines will get seen. So have your website in there, and make sure you put the HTTPS : / in that description, because that makes it clickable.
Right.
Right. So people can click on it. So,
right.
And that's for YouTube?
Sorry?
That you said that's for YouTube?
Well, the HTTPS is for anything.
Okay.
If you're posting your website anywhere, make sure you put the full. You don't need the www anymore, because most hosts will actually know it's a www. So you just put your domain name, but prefix it with the HTTPS : / That makes it clickable. If you're posting it in here in the chat, then it makes it clickable. So, and it makes it easier. Somebody doesn't have to cut and paste it and type it in to get to your link.
Yeah, because I know a lot of these, these social media, they don't let you have those live links. So, but it sounds like YouTube does. So that's great.
Now you talk about keywords. How do you find? I know there's something of a Google way of how do you find out what type of keywords that you should be using?
There's multiple ways of doing it, and like as you said, Google, the keyword ad, the keyword manager in Google is within their ad manager. So you have to set up an ad account, but you don't have to use it. Right? So people are nervous. You just go in, set up a Google ad account, and you get access to the keyword tool. But one of the easiest ways, and this is a little bit techy, but one of the easiest ways of finding appropriate keywords for you is look at some of your opposition that are doing well. Right? Go to their website, have a look at their website, and somebody that's actually doing well, you know their website is working, you know their SEO is working, right? Because they're doing well. And all you need to do, if you go up and you go to view on your browser and you can look at the source code. So you look at the source, or in some cases, if you're a little bit more technical, there'll be an inspect option if you're using Chrome, and you can actually look at the code that sits behind that page, right? And it's a bit of text, and you'll go down and you'll actually see the meta tag for keywords. And then
Oh,
you can copy those keywords and just drop them into your meta tag on your website.
Oh, wow.
Right? So success breeds success. So look at what's working and emulate it, copy it.
and let's talk about that, because so many people think that if copying somebody else's work is plagiarism, but that's not what you're saying. Because I know success leads success, but it's we're really talking about is the clues that how they become successful. That if we, as a little detective, we walk around and we go and we, with our magnifying glasses, and we search around, and then we see what people are doing. And in some cases, we're going to talk about AI. We can actually go through their actual website and find out where what the messages are that we're looking for.
Yeah, and it's you can, with any, if you look at as I said before, if you look at your competitors and you look for the ones, like we all emulate somebody, whether it's in the coaching space or whatever it is, whether you're looking at Grant Cardone or, in my case, Frank Kern is one of the big marketers that I look at and follow what he's doing. He's been around for decades as well. A bit younger than me, but he's still been around for decades. But I look at what they're doing, and in some cases it resonates with me, and I go, yep, I'll give that a try. And nobody can say what works right now, right? Because what works today may not work tomorrow. It's unfortunate, but that's the speed we're moving at, So you've just got to try and stay on top and watch what other people are doing. Definitely what worked 12 months ago doesn't work today.
Yeah.
Wow. That quick.
Yeah. So, you've got to just look at what people are doing and copy it. You can't give somebody, by the time you write a book on what to do to market your business online today, and even with digital technology and get it up in a week or more, it's probably 50% of it probably wouldn't be valid anymore,
So how do you stay up to date on your end of it, because everything's changing so fast?
It's just networking. Just go, with most of my time is not spent working, it's spent researching. It sounds ridiculous, but that's what it is. I research what other people are doing and try and stay ahead of the game. And that's what I've done most of my life anyway. Like when the computers came in the 80s, I was right at the spearhead of that. We brought our own stuff in, we branded them, and we start selling them. When networking came in with Novell, which is, some people will remember, I was at the spearhead of that. We were rolling that out and networking people. AI, I'm a huge, follower of AI at the moment, and things are changing. Like it's not even 2 years, right?
Yeah.
ChatGPT, don't realize it, but ChatGPT was released in November 2022.
Wow.
Well, I understand there's some people that even have been working on AI and been very active in it. And it's going back already 5 years and even more. There's, that really in the know of things.
It depends on what you refer to when you talk about AI. Like AI's always been around. I mean, your iPhone, it's AI, right? There's artificial intelligence in the background running what you're doing, right?
True.
So when I talk about AI, I'm talking about like the way it's evolved over the last, what is it, about 18 months now.
Yeah.
With the introduction of texting and creating content and creating images and that kind of stuff. I mean, that wasn't available to us 2 years ago.
Right.
Right? So that's all changed. And that's why I say what was working 3 years ago, no longer working. Right? Copywriters are in trouble. You've got to be a really good copywriter to stay ahead of the game today. There's still a valid, some opportunities for them, but they really got to be good at what they do.
So how do you use AI to help your ability to be seen in that?
Well, like the book that I published up on my profile, that was written with AI with a little bit of research. The thing about AI today and content is that it's a research tool, right? It's not a delivery tool. So if you use AI for anything, you still have to put your persona behind it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can read it now. You can train AI to do that, right? And that's what's evolving, because the more when you use ChatGPT as the example, right? The more you interact with ChatGPT, the more it learns about you. And if you wanted to write an article, you can actually get it to write it in your tone. If you've written previous articles, you can actually tell ChatGPT to read my PDF and all future articles, write it in that style. That's a simple prompt, and it
Right.
will do that. Right? Now, it won't be perfect, but then it's up to you to go in and edit that and put your own flavor across it and do everything else. But instead of taking, 2 or 3 hours to write an article, today you can do it in probably 30 minutes.
Well, and most importantly, it's not just to write the article. You can also you can use it to help you research the article ahead of time.
Yeah.
So,
And again, with the way it's evolved, a year ago, even though ChatGPT was out for probably 12 months, the information it had was probably 2 years old.
right.
So when you would try and research something, the information it had today, it's live. It actually goes off and reads what's on the internet and pulls live information. You can tell, and I've done this as a demonstration on one of my masterclasses, where I've told it to go off and read my website and give me a summary.
Right.
Right. And it could do that in real time. Right. It doesn't come back a day later or anything else. It does it in real time. And it comes back with a summary.
And I actually suggest that to people because the one of the biggest things, especially if somebody else is writing your website, a lot of times you find out that the website is targeted towards the person who has written it as instead of actually towards the avatar that you're trying to get.
Yep. Yeah.
So
And it's actually probably a good thing for most, I think most people would have access to ChatGPT today. If you haven't, you need to go and have a look at it, right? Because it's not going away. And that's one of the first things I would do. Have a look at your website and your LinkedIn profile and all the rest of it, and send it to ChatGPT and say, summarize this, and even, how can I adjust this to reach more, whatever your avatar is, and see what it comes up with. If it comes up with valid information, then use it. If it doesn't, then throw it away,
So the whole idea in our world today is really educating ourselves so that we can, once we become more educated, like I believe that I know Chat GPT or any of the other AIs, myself, I talked to you about it, Ruby AI, the one that I use. You really need to dive deep into it. And it's, I know all these things are scary, but here's the thing is the more we refuse to jump in and get our feet wet, the farther behind we're going to become.
Yeah, I was watching a video by a guy called Matt Wolf. And if anybody's looking at technology and whatever else, I'd suggest you follow him. And he's talking about what's happening on the Apple front, right? Like Apple as in the computer company,
Yeah.
and what they're doing with AI on the phone, right? And on the new phone that's coming out, and the new operating system that's coming out, and I believe it's going to work on the iPhone 15. But the technology they're using and the processing power they've got in the phone now, they're actually running AI on the phone, built into the OS system, so it's not even in the cloud anymore. It's on the phone, and the things they're going to that this new rollout of their operating system is going to do on the phone is phenomenal. You know, when we look at the iPhone, how long has the iPhone been out? 10 years, right? What's new in technology? But the speed that this stuff is coming to fruition is enormous. And if you're not on the if you're not on the train, you're not going to get there. You know, you need to watch what's happening out there and learn from it. You know.
And I think that's one of the most important things that we need to tell people out there is learning about, continuously educating and staying on top of things, even though we're never going to be on top of it unless you're really right. And you're in the forefront, but it's still important. It's for just making it through in our society today. So, you know how we said, you had mentioned that you thought that emails were dead and to a certain extent, but having an email list and having people that you having communication sent out to, because I still do this and I still get a pretty good open rate. How do you connect up with people? Like, I'm sure you still are you're asking for email or their emails so that you can stay in connection with them. What do you do to have that connection with your people? How do you get them to open their emails?
Well, I don't just rely on emails. I definitely use emails. Like I help clients set up CRM systems and have automations and everything else. And one of the big things are emails, obviously in the background. But we spoke before about SMS, right?
Right.
So SMS marketing is very important and very powerful, and to stay in contact with people. And it depends on the urgency of your message as well. Right. So if you've got something coming up, then email drip feeds are probably valid. Right. But you'll all have noticed that if you sign up for any webinar today, you're going to get reminders from the big guys via SMS, via text. Right.
Yeah.
So you get reminders, and that's all part of their ecosystem or the CRM system, whatever it is, and it's all automated. But to do that, you've got to get on the list. So the important thing for any business today is to build your list. And that hasn't changed. That's been the same for decades.
Wow.
Right? The money is still in the list. Right?
And in the follow-up.
Well, that's the most important part. It's not good having a list if you're not using it. Right. So if the more regular you can follow up with somebody. I don't use a newsletter, and I'm contemplating I used to use a newsletter that I would send out regular information. I'm contemplating re-establishing that and setting it up so it goes out. But then I would also follow that up with a text and saying the email is now available, go here, or check your email by text. I sent you an email, for the same reason I mentioned earlier. I tell my clients, if it's urgent, send me a text telling me you sent me an email.
Yeah, because it's really important that we have that communication going. And I think especially in your line of business with all these marketing ideas that...
no, it's more marketing ideas, not all. Yep.
Right. Yeah, like you need to tell people about your marketing ideas because, like I went last night and I set up my my Google. So, these are important things. So as people are now looking to go on, you mentioned about having a CRM, and I know there's going to be people that are scratching their head and wondering what do you mean by a CRM? So I'm trying to be out there so that people can understand. I know what all these buzzwords are, but too many people don't. So I'm just trying to make sure that we get the information that it lands.
Yep, sure. CRM is an acronym for Client Relationship Management, and it should have an S at the end of it for system, right? So that's what it is. It's a relationship management system. And bit of techo, I'm all about systems, right? And what it is, it's basically a database. So it's a database of your client base. So when people come into your ecosystem, they got to get on a list. Some people will use MailChimp or, MailerLite or GetResponse or something like that and build a list in there. The difference with that is purely just an email ecosystem. So it's only purely for emails. The CRM system will actually track your conversations with people. So if you send somebody an email, it tracks it. If you send them a text, it tracks it. If you have a conversation, you can put a note up against that client and say, I spoke to Glenda yesterday. We arranged to do a webinar and I've got to be there at 5 a.m. in the morning, right? So we can put that in as a note and flag it as, oh shit, okay. Right. So, and that's really the basis of a CRM system. It's one platform that allows you to keep your conversations with your clients at the top of your mind. And I'll tell you a trick I did years ago, and it was a basic CRM system I had. When I had the computer shop, I had a great memory for faces, but not for names, right? So
That's
somebody
me.
would walk in and I'd go, I remember you. So what I had was I had a book under the counter. Right? And in that book, I would have the clients list that come in. Now, there wasn't hundreds of people. There was, because we were in the 80s, remember? So we would sell 1 or 2 computers a week, which kept me and 2 part-timers alive. So there wasn't, thousands of clients coming in. But I had a book under the counter, and when somebody would come in or leave, I would write that conversation that we had in the book. So the moment they walked in the shop, we had a coffee machine going at the time, which is another trick we had. So the smell of coffee in the shop really, brought people down a bit, the level. And first thing I would say would, oh, John, go and grab a coffee. I'll be with you in a moment. I'd open up the book and I'd have a look at the conversation we had. And when he'd come to the counter, I'd say, John, last week you said your daughter was taking the horse to the vet. How did that go?
Brilliant.
Right?
Yeah.
And suddenly they go, who is this guy? How did you remember that stuff? And I didn't, but I had a method of recalling it, right? So in the book, I just flick it to his page, his name, and I would write, and then as soon as he'd leave, I'd write down what he bought this, he bought that, and we had a chat about his wife, and his wife was sick, and whatever it was. So next time he came in, I would just restart the conversation. That's what a CRM helps you do. Right?
Cool.
To help you get your memory going and restart a conversation with a client so that when they come back into your ecosystem, you can say, yep, we spoke last month about this. How did that go? Or are you still interested in this? Or have you moved on? Or what is it? How can I help? So a CRM helps you get back in contact with your client and keep a conversation going.
Perfect. So you offer a unique service, and it's in website leasing. Can you tell us more about this model and how it benefits businesses compared to traditional website ownership?
Okay, what happens with a lot of businesses, especially startups, right? They just don't have the funding, they don't have the finance to, spend $3,000 to $10,000 on a website, whatever it might be. They just don't have it. So what I've done with a lot of clients, and then they build into long-term clients because obviously they get their website, they start building, they start getting contacts, and they continue working with me. So we've set up a website where it'll cost you $25 a week, right? And we'll build a website for you. And there's no contract, right? You can pull out any time, but you don't get the website if you pull out. Right? The website, it's like a car, right? You lease the car, you stop leasing, you give the car back, right? So exactly the same principle. If you stay with us for 2 years, you get the website. So it's yours. And that's the condition. So we've set that up to help people with cash flow.
Right.
I mean, somebody can have a website today. It's basically $100 a month, right? So $25 a week. And they can have it, well, it'll probably take us 2 weeks to set it up, but they'll have it within 2 weeks. It's live, it's theirs. We'll edit, maintain it, help them make changes. It's a do-it-yourself, so they can go in and change stuff and add stuff, and it's a fully fledged system as well. Right?
So you
that's,
adjusted as time is going on and things are starting to are changing.
yep.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
I love
definitely.
So it was just, we get some traction on it, not a lot, but it was just a feature we added because we figured, today, again, building websites today with the help of AI and templates and everything else, it's not as, like, I'm a coder, so I used to hard code HTML and PHP sites and do all of that kind of stuff. Today, I don't touch that, right? It's all
Yeah,
drag and drop, right?
yeah,
You want a picture here, you put it there. You want text here, you put it there. You want to change the font, you change the font. It's all do it yourself, really, today. And I could show, as an electrician, I could show somebody how to wire a house in a day. They wouldn't know what they were doing, but they could follow my instructions. They could run a cable from here to here and connect power points and connect it, right? And I would do the final connection. Today, it's the same with websites. I could show somebody how to build a website in an hour, right? And they could do it themselves.
so I
So
could do the same thing with a funnel because of certain, there's certain ones like ClickFunnels, which makes it very easy to
yep.
put it together. But I wasn't sure that the same holds true with a website.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same. I use the opposition to ClickFunnels, which is Go Highlevel. I'm an agency owner for Go Highlevel, and we've rebranded that as a white label. So people have a choice. They can come under my banner and get me, or they can go to Go Highlevel and do it themselves, right? And Go Highlevel is the underlying platform. So somebody can check that out, go there. That's $97 a month, right? And you can build your own funnels. You can build your own websites. It's a fully fledged CRM system. You can set up emails. You can send emails from it. You can keep a list. You can do everything. So it's a fully fledged CRM system, not just a mailing system, right?
Right.
And it's not just a funnel builder, right? You can have websites in it, but we were talking about websites today. Anybody starting out today, I'd encourage them to build funnels, right? Like if you've got something to sell it on a single landing page. If you've got
Right.
something to promote, sell it on a single. The first thing you want to do is get in conversation with someone. So if I'm in a networking meeting, and you've seen me do this, Glenn, if I'm in a networking meeting, the first thing I'll do is jump in the chat and I'll say to people, love to have a chat with you. And they'll go, yeah, let's do it. And I will say, do you want to do it after this call? Right? 90% of the time, I will get one person to say yes. Right? So the quicker you get on a call or communication with anyone, the better, because it's hot. It's a hot lead.
Right.
Right. Let it go a day, a week, or something else. People are going, who's that guy, Fred? What's he do? More, what? What's, no idea. Can't remember. Right. But if you can get on a call with somebody, the same goes with a website or whatever you're sending people to sign up. Somebody goes to the website, if somebody goes to mine, you'll see throughout the website is call. Let's have a chat. Jump on a call with me. That's what I'm about, right? I want somebody to get on a call. I don't want to say, go and read about how to market your business. I want to talk about how to market your business. Right?
So as we're coming,
Yep.
As we're coming to the end of I told you it goes by fast. As we're coming to the end, I want to know what, give a marketing idea that can help people to be seen a little bit easier, more, how to get themselves out there.
The one thing, and I'll reiterate it again, is Google My Business is number one, right? Absolutely number one. If you don't have a Google My Business page, get off your ass right now. Go to business.google.com and register it. It's free. You follow the prompts, and then you treat it like any other platform, and you post regularly. To get seen, you have to post regularly, whatever platform. If you're in the craft industry or you're promoting to women in particular, and I don't want to be sexist there, but Pinterest is the platform, right? Because it's visual. People love pictures, right? If you're into doing the videos, then TikTok is getting a lot of action at the moment, right? It's prevalent. But you've got to decide on who your audience is first off, who you're going to target. It's not everyone. People say, oh yeah, it's everyone. It's not. You know, your genre is either age orientated, it's location orientated, it's sex orientated, whatever it is, or it's a mixture of all of them. You know, like although I do have clients all over the world, and yes, I target clients all over the world, my predominant client base is in Australia for local service providers. So chiropractors, dentists, chemists, you know, that kind of stuff. And we've got a number of coaches on board as well that we help, and they're pretty much international. We help those, but you need to decide on, especially if you're starting out, you need to decide on who your ideal audience is, and limit it down to whatever. And the benefit of that is that if you decide to go down the paid ad arena to get clients, then you've already got that niche down, and that will benefit you when you go into that arena, because you can't just put an ad up and send it to everyone. You're not going to get a response.
Yeah.
And think about it that way. If you were writing an ad for someone, who was that ad directed to? And apply that to your basic introduction to your website. But Google My Business, can't stress it enough.
Wow, I love it. And wow, so, you know, underneath our video here is a description, and there will be, there's two links there that you can get in touch with Fred. And if you want to get some more marketing ideas, he's the guy that you need to speak with. And so I highly suggest you do that. He's just filled with information. And I want to thank you for joining us today and giving us so much information and so many golden nuggets. It's really what we all need, especially today. We're all trying to get out there, and we're all trying to get seen. But, you know, just as you said, you just got to even figure on just one area, you know, one app that you want to work on, and stay on that and just do it. You know, the word that always comes to mind and is always out there is consistency.
Yep.
So we appreciate it so much. Thank you, Joan, for joining us and getting up so early to give us some special information. And what we always do before we always end our show is we always go to our one and only Nicole, and she gives us her downloads of what she feels up today.
You know, this is so amazing, because had I have been in on this conversation 5 years ago, I would not have understood probably 95% of it. You know, and Fred, you talk about things changing so fast, and I in this arena, I know that to be true. And I think one of the most important things here today with this conversation is understanding that you yourself have to keep up with these trends. Don't rely on someone else, because there's so much information everywhere. And I have to tell you today, Fred and Glenda, I took notes way more than I talked, because I'm like, I am taking advantage of this. This is great information. So thank you so much for that. But, you know, just know that within yourself, you do have the ability to maybe not understand everything. But if someone would have told me I'd even have, you know, a podcast, I would have been like, no, I can't do that. But we can, and we should. And learning should be a part of your life until you know, hit that head for the last night on the pillow and head to the outers. So thank you so much, Fred. It was a pleasure to meet you.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Glenda. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you all. And remember, you don't need to know everything, but you do need to know who is the person that you need to get in touch with. And that's our one and only Fred Gillen, and that's the guy who has more marketing ideas. So, you know, the link is below. Don't hesitate. He's really a good guy. He doesn't bite very much. And I highly suggest that you give him a ring and get some marketing ideas. And thank you for joining us and giving us some incredible information. And most importantly, thanks for getting up and joining us today on Let's Get Real.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.